Being able to draw cylinders is a surprisingly useful skill. You will often find a structure that you want to draw that can initially be approximated well with cylinders. In this video, I will give 9 tips for how to draw cylinders well. Tip number 1. It is good to draw directly in pen if you can, but drawing cylinders is hard enough in the beginning because it's not easy to get the ellipses right, at least initially. So it is okay to draw in pencil also, but do try to also practice drawing these in pen later. It is harder, but it forces you to carefully consider each line. In this video I drew with pencil first and then inked with a pen, to make sure I got it right, but for private practice I draw directly in pen. Tip number 2. It is a good idea to draw ellipses slowly, at least initially. This makes you more accurate in drawing ellipses, and that in return practices your muscle memory. Later you can draw ellipses more quickly, especially when sketching and drawing with a pencil. But initially it is a good idea to draw slowly so that your muscles get trained to feel what it feels like to draw an ellipse. That is best practiced slowly. You can speed up later, accuracy first, speed later. The goal isn't to draw as many ellipses as possible, it's rather to focus on drawing them as well as possible. Tip number 3. The caps of cylinders are circles, but when the cylinders are rotated in space, these circles become ellipses. So it is a good idea to practice drawing ellipses first, so that you can draw them effectively later. You can do that as a warm-up. The warm-up of drawing circles and ellipses was suggested by Watt's Atelier. To get a feel for what ellipses look like, look at a cylinder-like object, like a glass or something else that is around you. Hold the objects in your hand, rotate them and see how the circles change into ellipses. You can also use the circles and ellipses model on the Practice Drawing This website for reference, as I am doing here. Tip number 4. Start drawing cylinders from reference using the 3D model on the Practice Drawing This website. Later you can also just use a physical object, like a glass for that, but I want you to practice placing a cylinder inside a box first, so that I can show you something. First, draw an elongated box with caps that are square. These square caps will contain the top and bottom circles of the cylinder. Then, draw crosses in the cap faces, drawing lines from the opposite corners. Where the lines cross will be the centers of the circles capping the cylinder. Also draw a plus that goes through the center points. These lines go to the same relevant vanishing points as the rib lines that form the squares. This will give you the points where the circles will touch the edges of the square. Now, draw the ellipses inside the squares, keeping in mind that the ellipses should go through the touch points you just constructed, and that in those points the ellipses are tangential to the square they are inside. Use the 3D model for reference to get the curvature right between the touch points. Now draw the side lines of the cylinder. Basically, add 2 lines by connecting outer points of the 2 ellipses. That leads us to tip number 5. Where the ellipses and the sidelines touch, the sidelines are tangential to the ellipse. Keep this in mind whether you are drawing the sideline first or the ellipse first. I wanted you to draw the cylinder inside a box from reference to show you something, and that is tip number 6. If your eye is above the top plane of the cylinder, you will see that the bottom square tilts away from us more than the top plane, and that as a consequence the ellipse in that bottom square also tilts away more than the ellipse in the top square. Beginners often make the mistake of flattening the bottom ellipse, so I wanted you to see this, to notice that while constructing. That is why I wanted you to draw the cylinder inside the box first. Tip number 7. Now try to freehand draw cylinders, again from reference, but this time without drawing the box that contains it. Start by drawing one ellipse. This poses a new challenge. In the previous exercise, we had the top and bottom squares of the box to hang on to. Now we don't have that, and when we freehand draw an ellipse, it will probably deviate from what you see in the reference. Here is a little secret. People haven't seen your reference cylinder. If you draw the first ellipse and it looks different from the reference, then stop looking at the reference and continue with the ellipse you already have and try to turn it into a convincing cylinder by sight. It will look different from your reference, but in this case the goal is not to make a perfect copy of the reference, but to practice drawing a believable cylinder. Tip number 8. One thing to notice is that if you look sideways at the cylinder and you start to rotate it slowly, the ellipse stays relatively flat in the beginning and they only start to become much wider when the cylinder is rotated significantly. Foreshortening also starts very late and the vanishing point for the sidelines only starts to come closer more quickly later in the rotation. To get a feel for this, use the 3D model of the cylinder from the Practice Drawing This website again and draw it in various degrees of rotation. Tip number 9. Now we are going to just freehand draw cylinders, putting together all we learned from the previous exercises. Draw an arbitrary ellipse first, then draw the minor axis, the shortest line through the center between the 2 points on the ellipse. This line also happens to go into the direction of the vanishing point the sidelines go to also. Another way to look at it is that the minor axis is the line that goes through the center of the circle and points directly down, which is the reason the line is so useful. You can construct it by drawing a line through the center of the circle that connects the 2 points closest to each other on the ellipse, and you have the direction and line where the vertical perspective vanishing point should be. And that gives you a hint as to where the sidelines should point to. Draw believable sidelines. The distance of the vanishing point and the relative angles of the sidelines depends on how wide or flat the ellipse is. You got a sense of that while doing the previous exercise. Try to come up with believable angles for the sidelines. The ellipse stays relatively flat until the cylinder has rotated significantly. Then freehand draw the ellipse on the other side, keeping in mind that the ellipse that is farther away from you is tilted more. Check out the Practice Drawing This website, where I host lots of drawing practice resources which you can't find anywhere else. Thank you for listening.